City fans say they can't blame Sven-Göran Eriksson for thinking about other jobs. The Blues boss had a meeting with representatives from Benfica at a Manchester hotel yesterday. And finally, Wigan Warriors forward Gareth Hock has signed a one-year extension to his current contract. That'll see him stay at the JJB until the end of 2011.
BBC Radio Manchester, satellite weather with Diane Oxbury.
We are heading into another fantastic day today. Already it's dry and it's fine, lots of sunshine around. Into the afternoon there might be a little bit of cloud drifting around and the sunshine might turn a bit milky and hazy every now and then. Like yesterday, there's a small chance of a shower, but fingers crossed they'll stay away. And your top temperature, 24 Celsius.
Milky and hazy. I think I went to school with them. Certainly
Have
hazy.
lunch with Allan Beswick.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Hiya. You all right? Good. Amy Winehouse, eh? She's finished, isn't she? She's supposed to be recording at the moment. I hope she is. I hope she's doing well, because her last album was belting. But she's like a stick insect with pictures. And weird hair. Although I do appreciate that the weird hair is not hair. Well, it's hair. It's probably off a dog's bum or something. But, no, it isn't. It's one of them things. Hair peace. That's it. Let there be peace. And there was. And it was hair peace. Which is better than herpes, but only just. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Oh, don't ask me what goes on in my head. I haven't a clue. In fact, I'm scared of trying to find out. Good morning anyway, or afternoon, or hello, or whatever it is you fancy. 0161 228 2255 is the telephone number if you want to join us. Also, you can text on 07786 206 951 and you can email radiomanchester@bbc.co.uk. That's it. And Fritzl, Joseph, good old Joseph, he said, I'm not a monster, 'cause I could have killed them. You can't fight the facts, can you? He could have killed them. Actually, what he did to him, it's 50-50 is whether they'd have been better off dead. Anyway, there you are. 0161 228 2255. Let us progress by talking, first of all, to Sid in Ashton in Makerfield. Hi, Sid.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm all right. What can we do you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's a lovely day, isn't it?
It is.
I had reason to nip down to the Makerfield shopping centre this morning in Ashton in Makerfield about 10:30, just for a couple of things for us. And I've had 3 heart attacks, so I've got a disabled parking pass. And I couldn't park in a disabled space, so I had to park at the far end of the car park and walk. So I use my sprays before I get out of the car, as I usually do. And in one of the disabled spaces, outside the chemist shop, and I'm not going to mention the name of the chemist shop, was the van with the name of the chemist shop all over it, parked in a disabled space. And a few minutes later, I stood there. A few minutes later, out come the woman, having done something about her prescription services, and was a bit nondescript about when I said, why did you park there? She wasn't particularly bothered about it.
She wasn't bothered about it?
No.
I presume she didn't appear to have a disability.
No.
No?
No, she was perfectly fit and well. There was no disability stickers in the car, and this was the biggest pharmacy in the country.
Well, you said you weren't going to name it. You've left us guessing, haven't you, really?
All right.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, thank you very much for that. I tell you what we'll do. We might give him a call and ask him. So stay on the line, Sid, and talk to Richard. Give Richard your details, and we'll then ring that firm and say, how come one of their vans was parked in a disabled bay whilst delivering to their Ashton in Makerfield branch? So we'll do that. So stay on the line, Sid, because I think let's take a stand once in our while. We're not going to do this every day for everybody, because, oh dear, well, frankly, because it's just hard work, and, you know, I don't do this job in order to have hard work. I wanted hard work, I get a job in a pit. So I'm not doing it for everyone every day. Well, let's do it just for a laugh. We're going to ring them up. We've not named them. There've been a few clues dropped, but we'll ring them up and we'll say, how come one of your vans parked on a disabled bay, or a bay designated for disabled people, whilst it delivered to your Ashton in Makerfield store? And see what they say. They'll probably say, have you got photographic evidence? Well, of course, we could probably get it if we needed it, because there's every chance there'll be closed-circuit television. Well, let's just see what they say, just for the hell of it. So Sid's going to talk to Richard, our producer, and then Richard's going to... I'm not quite sure what Richard's going to do, but he's going to get somebody to ring the firm in question and find out what the hell happened. We'll ask their head office rather than the local office, because their head office are in charge of the vans rather than the local office. We'll just see. Because there are a number of delivery organisations who think bays designated for those with disabilities are merely there so that they can use them when making deliveries. And I think it stinks.
Your Sunday morning lie-in with Mike Shaft.
Why should we live simply?
Climate change has a huge effect on all of us, but it affects first and hardest those in the developing world living in poverty.
Mike Shaft.
How did you come to faith?
Well, I grew up in the Salvation Army. I was a fetal Salvationist. I was going along to the church long before I had a choice about it. But there was always something in it that I realised there was something deeper, something bigger that kind of held me there.
Manchester's faith, spirit and life's difficult questions with Mike Shaft.
Never in a million years.
Sunday morning from 7 on BBC Radio Manchester.
A very good day to you. How are you? Are you all right? Go, Dave in Duckingfield. Hiya, Dave.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing? I'm just on about this climate change, you know. What do you think of it?
Well, at the moment, it's pretty good.
Well, one day it's warm and the next day it's raining.
I think that's been the case since the day of my birth. I don't think the day of my birth caused it, but I think it's been like that ever since I was born.
Well, I see. Like, you know, I'm a bit worried about it, you know. Is the world going to dry up or what?
Probably not. Well, certainly not in the next fortnight.
Oh, I see. All right, then.
Well, you say you're worried about it. What is it that worries you?
Well, I don't like the sun, Alan. You know, it's a bit warm.
Well, it's millions of degrees, if the truth be told.
It's very, very warm today. It's very, very warm today, isn't it?
The weather is quite warm, yes. The ambient temperature is comparatively high, yes.
Oh, I see.
And does that bother
I'm too warm today. I want it a bit colder.
Have you thought of going indoors?
Indoors is warmer than outdoors. I've got a conservatory and it's roasting there.
I shouldn't go in the conservatory.
But I've got a fan. I put a fan on and that doesn't seem to be working.
There's not much I can do about that, but quite a lot of fans I know don't work. What I suggest you do then, I mean, this is stultifyingly obvious, but have you considered opening a window and possibly even...
Yeah, then you get lots of wasps coming into the house.
Well, have you thought of getting a rolled-up newspaper and standing by the open window, inhaling what bit of air
I'll be there all day, though. I'll be there all day.
Well, what else have you got to do?
Nothing.
Well, there you are then.
Talk to you on radio.
Yes, which is probably the highlight of your day. But what have we done? Well, first of all, we've had an intellectual discourse about the consequences of alleged global warming, and then we've discovered how you might aerate your home, and even provide you with entertainment for the day. What more can you ask?
Nothing more, Alan. Nothing more.
Then if you can ask nothing more, we shall depart. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So there you are. You see. We help everybody, us. It's just give. Give. It's just give. Yeah, of course it is. 0161 228 2255. I've just got an email which, frankly, is an advert. But it's an advert from within the BBC, and it says, FreeSat has arrived. We're delighted to let you know that FreeSat, which incidentally is spelt with a lowercase f, which I think is, well, frankly, just evidence of the dumbing down of the BBC and ITV. Why doesn't it have a capital F? FreeSat. It's a name, for God's sake. It wouldn't kill 'em to just add a little bit of, class. Well, it's not even adding class. I don't think we need to dumb down. Even thickos know it should have a big F. We're delighted to let you know that FreeSat, the brand new digital satellite television service, has launched. Has launched what? Do they mean has been launched? And because it's broadcast by satellite, it's available to almost every home in the UK. Well, that's nice. Enjoy over 80 great channels with no subscription. Well, there's lovely. Has anyone got it? Has anybody bothered? I've not. I've got Sky Plus. I'm not fannying around with it. I need to know this because I was intrigued. Have they actually got their own satellite? See, it doesn't tell you this. It says you'll have to buy a dish unless you've already got one. But your dish on your Sky satellite points, if you're very lucky, points at Sky's satellite, which is called, I think, the Astra 1. So, is it that the BBC and ITV are now got together to create this FreeSat thing? Does that come off the same satellite, or have you got to waggle your dish? No, stop it. That's not what I mean. You know what I mean. Waggle your dish is not a euphemism. Have you got to point your direction point your satellite dish in the direction of a nut? Have you got to go up on the roof doing a rod-hull? In which case you face every good chance of killing yourself. You've got to go on the roof and do a rod-hull every time you want to watch FreeSat instead of Sky. Oh, hang on, there's something on Sky. Excellent. I don't think that's efficient. Or is it the same satellite? Or is it dead close to it? So as near, as my mum used to say, as near as makes no difference. No, I'm asking because I don't know. I know the normal process on this programme is you ask me things, but I'm entitled to ask things as well, aren't I? Does anyone know whether it's another satellite or just an encoded, encrypted thingamany-jiggly-jiggly figgly-dig on the already existent satellite? I don't know. I seem to remember reading a story that ITV and the BBC had sent a rocket up, more or less. Sorry I started that. John in Stockport, hiya.
Good afternoon.
Good indeed.
Before I get on to the subject that I rang about, I get Freeview, but I have a Sky box upstairs, which are cancelled, but it brings in other free...
Oh, yeah, it will, yeah.
...than my one downstairs, so I have different channels upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah, but this is not Freeview I'm on about. Freeview we know about. This is free, whatever I said before, FreeSat. That's the one, yeah, it's a new one, it's FreeSat. It's FreeSat is here, so it's a free satellite. Rather like Sky is a free satellite, but you have to pay for certain things. On this, everything that's on it is free.
Oh, God. Right, my question is, your starter for 10, I was going to ring the Oracle. No names, no pat drill.
All right.
A friend of mine has high blood pressure, and I'm not sure if he's keeping things from me. Do you know anything about what causes high blood pressure, Alan?
Blimey, all sorts of different things. In simple terms, if the heart is having to work harder to get the blood to go through the veins.
Yeah.
Now, there could be all sorts of reasons for that. Either they're bunged up with clot, so it takes greater pressure to get it through there.
Yeah.
Or if you're so fat that your extremities are further away from the heart than they should be, and so it has to pump harder to get it further.
Well, you're not, he's slim.
Well, yeah, but you asked me, I can't tell you, I'm not a doctor, I can't tell you but he could very easily have it. It could be all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
But
I thought you could give me guidance.
Well, the guidance is diet. Almost always. Diet and exercise. Yeah. Now, smoking causes problems, too much alcohol, all those things, but diet and exercise.
Since he found out he got high blood pressure, he does a lot of walking. Would that help, or would that...
That would increase his exercise rate, and that would be almost always would be a good thing.
All right. I didn't know that. I mean, I heard the new television programme, Doctors on the Street, or something like that it's called, and they said it could be, I heard them mentioning it could be something to do with your kidneys. Is that correct, or is that...
I suppose that is possible also, yes, because your kidneys are basically the filter of your blood, in a way. So, yeah, it could be.
He doesn't smoke.
No.
He likes a pint. He is...
I don't know what that means, you see. He likes a pint.
He has 2 pints on a Friday night, the end, and then we have a coffee.
Right, well, the coffee's as likely to do it as the pint.
Yeah. He does a very stressful job, but he doesn't look like he's stressed out. He was always laid back and he falls over.
Right, but that just the outside is not necessarily evidence of what's happening on the inside. There are people, a bit like the proverbial duck, who look ultra calm and yet they're peddling like beggary.
Yes. Yeah. I just thought you could help me and guide me, since I know absolutely nout about.
Well, there's all sorts of things. I mean, if you have access to the internet,
yes, I have,
then you will find page upon page upon page on there about high blood pressure, about the treatment of high blood pressure, and about the causes. Causes is probably the wrong word, because high blood pressure can exist just because it does, really. It sounds daft, but I mean, they do this whole thing about cholesterol to check on various bits about your heart, but in truth, you could have high blood cholesterol just because that's the way your body works.
Yeah.
But high blood pressure is merely a symptom, so it's the pressure of your blood going through your blood vessels, your arteries.
In other words, it can't get through, so it has to...
It can get through, else you'd be dead, but it's having to work harder to get it through. But there could be a whole pile of reasons why that is.
Yeah. Well, that certainly helps me. Thank you, Alan, very much indeed for your time.
All right.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
Have a nice day, my
I
friend.
hope he survives. 0161 228 2255 if you've something to say. Can anybody explain that a little better than I did? High blood pressure, what causes it? How do you change it? John in Stockport wants to know for his mate.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Headline News.
Next week's UEFA Cup final will be shown on big screens in Manchester. Anything up to 80,000 Rangers fans are expected to travel from Scotland, in addition to more than 10,000 supporters from Russia. £10 billion worth of edible food is being thrown away by UK households every year. That's according to a new study. And the Bank of England's kept interest rates the same this lunchtime after 3 cuts this year. Manchester's weather very warm, mostly sunny, highs of 24 Celsius. I'm Faye Rusco.
BBC Radio Manchester 2020 traffic.
Well, if you're heading along the M6 at the moment, I'm afraid delays continue northbound. 2 lanes closed off whilst emergency repair works continue because of an earlier vehicle fire. Now, it's the inside and middle lanes that are closed to allow that resurfacing work to take place. Now, if you're using public transport at the moment, be aware if you're heading towards London, major delays again on the tracks today, affecting cross-country services, Virgin Trains and London Midland. Now, this is all because of electricity supply problems in the Rugby area. The best bet really is to check with National Rail inquiries before you travel. Various restrictions in force between Coventry and Milton Keynes Central for the moment. Back to the roads then, and the usual restrictions in Hyde on Market Street on the A57. It's closed between G Cross and the turn off for Hyde at junction 3 on the M67. It's closed on the northbound whilst that gas maintenance work continues. Don't forget, of course, if you happen to spot a problem that we're not mentioning, do get in touch, let us know about it, hands-free, 0161 244 4951. I'm Cara Banks.
Decongesting Manchester, one car at a time. 2020 traffic.
BBC Radio Manchester.
I do like Parliament sometimes. There was an announcement, or it was announced to the press, that the International Development Secretary, Douglas Alexander, would be making a common statement on the Burma crisis at 12:15. And at 12:15, he hadn't turned up. So the Deputy Speaker, who was sitting at that time, Sir Alan Hazelhurst, had to suspend the House of Commons for 5 minutes because Douglas Alexander hadn't turned up. And a Conservative, Julian Lewis, said it was quite extraordinary that the Minister wasn't there, and asked, could it be that he's been detained advising his sister on the mess that she's got the government into? His sister, of course, is Wendy Alexander, the Labour leader in Scotland, who's completely overturned Labour policy by saying, yeah, let's have a referendum on independence for Scotland. So that's quite funny. When he arrived in the Commons a few minutes later, Douglas Alexander offered an unreserved apology. What he didn't say is why he was late. Maybe we'll find out, but there we are. That's all I got. I shall bring you details, if there are any worth reporting, I shall bring you details of what he had to say. And I heard our reporter, well, it wasn't our reporter, but it was somebody talking to one of our reporters this morning saying that, well, the trouble is that in Burma now there are no bridges and there is no communication, the roads are damaged. In fact, it's a real mess. Well, yes, it is. That's the whole point, isn't it, really? It's in crises. Exactly. Oh, we're back to FreeSat. This is from Simon in Winsford. FreeSat is the satellite version of Freeview that the BBC and ITV have come together and come up with. I think it's about £120 one-off fee, and then it's free with no contract. But there are no Sky channels on it, I believe, as Sky have their own version to make things even more confusing. That's Simon in Winsford. Well, I'm always happy to poke a stick in the eye of Skye, as opposed to the Isle of Skye, where, actually, I wouldn't mind poking a stick there either, because it's a nice place, I believe. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, I'm quite happy to poke a stick in the eye of our competitors, but, frankly, Skye were there first, by about a decade. No, 2 decades. Actually, I think it's 18 years Sky's been there. Any road. But what I want to know is, and none of the publicity I've read thus far, and Simon, no disrespect to you, but you've helped not one jot, because I knew all that. What I've not discovered is, do you need 2 dishes, or indeed, do you need a dish that's movable? Because I think you just need one, but if you need one, what's it pointing at? Is FreeSat being transmitted from the reflected, or whatever it is they do with it, from the Astra satellite? I think we should be told, that's all. Brent in Cheshire. Hiya, Brent.
Hi.
What can we do for you?
Yeah, it was just yesterday. You know, you made the point that Albert Pierpoint was the last hangsman, and I said I read his book while I was on holiday last year, and it's a cracking read.
It is.
But he actually wasn't, though, because there was 2. He retired in 1956, but there was 2 people hung simultaneously in 1964 at Manchester and Liverpool prison. So, because I used to be a prison officer, so.
Oh, right.
Things like that.
Then I stand corrected.
Yeah.
If that is the case, because I thought, and as I say, I stand corrected. If you're correct, I thought he performed the last execution in Britain.
No.
Well, there you go.
Just 64. I mean, the funny thing was about why he resigned. He threw his dolly at the pram. He'd gone to Strangeways to hang somebody. The bloke got reprieved minutes before he pulled the lever.
Indeed so.
Albert wanted his £10 fee, and the High Sheriff of Lancashire offered him £1. He said, "You've not hung the man, so
you've not done the work. You're not getting paid. It's the cry of freelancers everywhere."
Just give him £1. Get yourself back to Stockport, mate. Here's £1.
Yeah, it's outrageous, isn't it, really? It's the way the government operated in those days, and if they were given half a chance, like all employees, if they're given half a chance, they'd operate that way now as well. But you're right, that is why he resigned. Indeed, when I was referring to him yesterday, I was talking about this play that's been written by a pal of mine, Peter Harrison, which me and Bernard Wrigley are thinking of putting on at some point.
Yeah.
But on this play, he actually, at the beginning of the play, he walks on stage, does Albert, which, if I did it, it would be me, walks on stage, puts his bag down, puts his coat down, and he's absolutely livid, really. He wasn't a man that demonstrated anger, but he's livid because he's just been shafted again by the authorities, and he effectively says, well, that's it, you can stick your job up your bottom.
And that's how it was.
Yeah. Well, you'll be pleased to know, because you're obviously a man that studies the subject, that they've actually, once again, started putting people to death in America. So lethal injection has just been, a couple of weeks ago, was approved by the senior court in the land. I think it's called the Supreme Court, was approved of by the senior court in the land, and they've managed to inject one yesterday, so that's good, isn't it?
Well, saves on the expenses, I suppose.
All right, well, other than for the drugs. But, good on you, Brent. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, cheers.
Brent in Cheshire, correcting me over my tale of Albert Pierpoint, and I'm glad to be corrected, because I would hate to leave you with the wrong impression. But yes, lethal injections are back, according to the Times this morning. Times, you remember they were suspended in the United States because they were regarded as a barbaric way of killing people. I'm not altogether sure that there is a nice way of killing people, but lethal injection ends stay in US executions. It's a clumsy headline, I'll grant you. A convicted killer has become the first death row inmate to be executed in America since the Supreme Court upheld the use of lethal injection, ending a 7-month moratorium. William Earl Lind was put to death at Jackson State Prison in Georgia late on Tuesday after a final meal of 2 pepper jack barbecue burgers with crispy onions, baked potatoes with sour cream, bacon and cheese, and a large strawberry milkshake. They've been on hold, the executions of that kind, since September, when the Supreme Court agreed to hear a challenge to Kentucky's use of a 3-drug cocktail to put prisoners to death. The drugs put inmate to sleep, then paralyse him, and finally cause death. They suspended him while the case could be heard. Eventually the case was heard, and this man was put to death on Tuesday. Celebratory day for fascists everywhere. Jen in Wogden. Hi. Jed, sorry, not Jen. Jed in Wogden. Hiya, mate. You all right?
Yeah, champion, mate. What it is, I'm just trying to figure out what the difference is between Freeview and FreeSat. No, not in... I know one's from the satellite and one's from the aerial, TB aerial. What programmes will you get extra? If you've got Freeview now and you buy FreeSat, do you get any extra programmes?
I'm not sure that you get more programmes. My understanding is that you will be able to get the programmes you get in HD, which, of course, I don't think Freeview provides.
Well, they are doing from later this year, aren't they?
Well, I don't know is the simple answer to that. Let me just run down this internal advertising thing. One thing that you will be able to get, here we go, FreeSat also gives you super fast digital text and enhanced interactivity, as well as digital subtitles and audio description. And because I'm reading a press release here, an internal press release, but that's what I'm doing, and because innovation and simplicity are at the heart of FreeSat, we'll automatically update your digital box with the latest channels and services. I continue to wander down. Soon you'll be able to get into integrated tellies. We don't care about that. The gist of it appears to be that it isn't a new service with new television programmes available to you, but it is in fact a better quality one. In that you'll be able to get, for a one-off payment, no contract, no subscription, you can now buy a FreeSat digital box and enjoy over 80 great television and radio channels, with more being added each month, including high-definition programmes for the BBC and ITV, all for free.
Right.
And there's easy-to-use categories with our 7-day on-screen programme guide, which sounds like a rip-off of Sky to me,
Yeah,
so you find exactly what you want at the press of a button.
You get that with Freeview anyhow, don't you?
Okay, well, this is supposed to be a better signal in that it's a high-definition signal via your satellite dish, and in the future you'll be able to do things that you can't do on Freeview. And Freeview, of course, doesn't cover as much of the England as of England and of the UK that they'd like it to.
Right. Well, I'm a little bit mixed up here because I felt fit. I bought a DAB radio. In fact, I bought.
Oh dear God, did you?
And my friend bought one, and another relative bought one. So there's 3 of us. One lives in the M30 district, one in the M38, and the other in M28. And all the hype for this digital radio was saying, the clearer reception and crystal clear reception and all this and all that. And not a one of us can get Radio Manchester, the old Radio Piccadilly, 1152. There's loads of stations we can't get on the new one. We have to use the old system, the old FM and AM.
Yeah,
it's a really
digital radio has been, in my view, very poor, to say the least.
It certainly is round here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just the signal, it's what they've decided to do with it as well. And it's the old quart pot thing. What they did, the digital signal, assuming you can get it, the digital signal is, if you like, a wider, these are not technical terms, a wider signal than is available with the analogue signal. And what they decided to do, what they could have done, was give you a better clarity of sound. because they could get more sound into it, a broader range of sound into the signal. But instead of doing that, what they decided was they would get a lot more radio stations, if you like, into the same hole. And so instead of getting greater quality, you're in fact getting greater numbers. So you're getting quantity, not quality.
That's right. But according to their adverts, aren't they? We're going to get crystal clear this and crystal clear that.
That's what the adverts said.
We can't even get Radio Manchester. Did you know that?
Well, that depresses me beyond measure, as you can imagine.
I'd like to know how many people out there have had the same problem as us, because none of us can get it, and none of my relatives can get it.
Well, I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not about to say to people ring in if you can't get it, because if they can't get it, they might... Well, A, it might be jammed, and B, they might not be able to hear me say it.
No, that's true.
All right, Jed, good on you, mate. But yes, I think digital radio has been, frankly, mismanaged by all concerned. I can see and understand the reasons why they went the way they did. I just think they went the wrong way. DJ in Oldham says Pierpoint had a pub in Oldham called The Poor Struggler, which he did. His life story's on DVD starring Timothy Spall, which it is, and it was very good indeed. Oh, it was. Fantastic. Timothy Spall is a great actor, isn't he? Hasn't he come a long way since Alvida's Aim Pet? Good grief. Anyway, there you are. So, everything you want to know about Pierpoint and more besides, as they say. 0161 228 2255. If you want to join us, that's good. All you have to do is pick up your phone and dial in. It's that easy. Oh, apparently, I can get I've just been sent an email saying I can get my Experian credit report for no price. For free, in other words. Isn't that nice? I didn't think so either, and I too will not be not be responding. Oh, here we go. Right, here it is. Brian says, the FreeSat programmes come from the same satellite. The difference is that you need a different receiver to the Skybox to receive the programmes. It's just an alternative method of receiving the existing free channels and competition to the Skybox. But of course, Skybox are still needed to receive Sky's subscription channels. So there you are. So what you'll get, it is just Freeview on satellite, and the actual physical apparatus, the satellite itself, is indeed the same one as used by Sky, which is the Astra satellite, if I remember correctly. So all it is those channels are dispatched in an encoded form so that you can't pick them up with your Skybox. Sky channels are sent in coded form as well. So you need a decoder, effectively. So that's it. But as I say, it will have all the facilities of Sky and possibly more besides once they get their act together, once they develop it still further, and you'll be able to get HD via the satellite delivery method. So there you go. Teddy Mostyn says, the last meal of the man who was executed is what we in the non-criminal community call a happy meal. Very good, Ted. We like that. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Simon in Haywood, this morning I sat down forgetting that my bank card was in my back pocket. Of course, the inevitable happened and it snapped. I now have to wait around a week for a replacement to be sent out. My question, therefore, is this. Why don't banks make their cards out of the same plastic that libraries use for their library card? My library card was in the other pocket and is extremely flexible, so much so that it can bend in half without cracking or creasing. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know why they don't make them out the same stuff as library cards. It might be that they want to put on a lot more protection for the information they're held. It might be that it's cheaper. It might be that one of your bum cheeks is heavier than the other. And in fact, each card has the same resilience. It's just that you're a bit fatter on one side, and that's why it snapped. There are indeed so many reasons why the event you describe could have taken place. 0161 228 2255. Anyway, you'd never be able to break into people's homes, would you, with a floppy library card, because you can use your credit card for that. And then you've got the Amy Winehouse thing where you've got to chop your coke. You can't do that. Scraping your windscreen. There are so many reasons why they use that standard of plastic once you start to think about it. It's very good for cleaning your nails. Whereas the library card, which you can roll up, you can use for getting wax out your ear and picking your nose, but you can't do that with a credit card. So it swings and roundabouts. It's always wrong.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Headline news.
Next week's UEFA Cup final will be shown on big screens in Manchester. Anything up to 80,000 Rangers fans are expected to travel from Scotland, in addition to more than 10,000 supporters from Russia. £10 billion worth of edible food is being thrown away by UK households every year, according to a new study. And the Bank of England's kept interest rates the same this lunchtime after 3 cuts this year. Manchester's weather very warm, mostly sunny, highs of 24 Celsius. I'm Faye Rusco.
But the people on that committee that set the interest rates, do they get paid if they don't do anything?
BBC Radio Manchester. 2020 traffic.
Problems continue on the trains for the moment, I'm afraid. If you're heading towards London, be aware there's a replacement bus service in operation between Coventry and Milton Keynes Central because of electrical supply problems in the Rugby area. It's also causing delays on Virgin trains of up to 30 minutes between Milton Keynes Central and Birmingham New Street. Really, the best idea is to check with National Rail inquiries before you travel to keep up to date with the latest situation. Now, thankfully, problems on the Metrolink seem to have returned to normal now again. There was a problem with a broken down train outside the GMX, but thankfully that has now been fixed and is moving once again, and delays do seem to be easing down. Now, if you're heading on the M6, traffic's still queuing, I'm afraid, northbound between 19 Knutsford and 20 at Lymm, despite the fact that all lanes have been reopened again to traffic. They were closed for a short time to allow some emergency repair work to take place. Thankfully, that's all now been completed, but as I say, it's left rather a large backlog of traffic. Now, don't forget, if you can update me on anything you've heard or spotted, call in. Make sure it's hands-free. The number's 0161 244 4951. I'm Cara Banks.
BBC Radio Manchester. Sports with Will Perry.
Well, the former Lancashire and England captain Michael Atherton says he doesn't think Andrew Flintoff should be recalled for the first test against New Zealand. He says the all-rounder needs more time to get fully fit and build up his form and confidence. Well, Lancs won't be too concerned if Freddie doesn't go with England. He was in fantastic form for his county yesterday. They're taking on Durham in the county championship at Old Trafford. It's day 2. Chris Malaband has the latest.
And in their second innings, Lancashire 65 without loss after 26 overs. Mark Chilton on 37, Paul Horton on 28, and Lancashire making batting look easy here under beautiful clear Manchester skies this morning. Yesterday's number of wickets does seem such a long time ago now, because batting has been easy this morning with the opening bowlers Harmison and Claydon dealt with competently by the Lancashire openers, and now into the second string of Ben Harmison and Paul Wiseman. It looks like the Lancashire batsmen are booking themselves in through until lunchtime. Match situation then, Lancashire 143, Durham 114 in their first innings, so Lancashire leading by 29. Overall lead now stands at 98, and Captain Stuart Law, I'm sure, will be hoping that his side can bat through the day today and set Durham a target to be bowled at tomorrow afternoon. So Lancashire very much building a decent second innings position here. Latest score at Old Trafford, Lancashire 69 without loss.
Thanks a lot, Chris. We'll, of course, keep you updated throughout the afternoon. Well, the England and Wales Cricket Board has admitted to holding informal conversations with Geoffrey Boycott. That's to help out with coaching youngsters, including the England under-19s. But they say he hasn't been approached to assist England's first team. Well, the cloudy skies continue to hover above Manchester City. Sven-Göran Eriksson has confirmed he met with officials from Benfica in a Manchester hotel yesterday about the possibility of taking over the manager's job at one of his former clubs. Meanwhile, City fans aren't convinced by comments from the club's owner that he hasn't yet made up his mind over Sven's future at Eastlands. Thaksin Shinawatra said no decision will be made until the end of the season, but Kevin Parker from the official supporters club says he isn't surprised by the comments.
We expected a bit of spin from Dr. Thaksin before the end of the season, and we've got that. I think it's as much what that message doesn't say rather than what it does say. I'm sure he's aware of the rally rally that we're holding this Saturday and the swell of support that there's been for Sven, and maybe he's just trying to thinks he can get on the good side of the fans, and the only way he can do that is to keep Sven in his job.
Well, meanwhile, City will find out tomorrow if they get an automatic place in the UEFA Cup next season. That's via the Fair Play League, of course. In Rugby League, Wigan Warriors forward Gareth Hock has signed a one-year extension to his current contract. That will see him stay at the JJB until the end of 2011. The Rugby League Hour is on tonight at 7 here on BBC Radio Manchester. Jack and Trevor will be chewing over the top stories of the week and, of course, looking ahead to the 5th round of the Challenge Cup this weekend. In Formula 1, Heikki Kovalainen will be fit for race for McLaren in this weekend's Turkish Grand Prix. That's after his high-speed crash in Spain. South African swimmer Natalie de Toy has arrived in Manchester to compete in the Paralympic World Cup. Last weekend, she became the first amputee to qualify for the Olympic Games, beating her compatriot sprinter Oscar Pistorius. But she says that wasn't on her mind.
It wasn't really a race for me. I think I just went out there and obviously try to qualify for the Olympics myself. That's my dream, my goal. And I knew it was one race and I had to sort of give it everything. So I went out there and tried my best and qualified for the Olympics. I didn't expect to come 4th. I was actually just trying to come 10th, and just really grateful to have qualified.
Well, meanwhile, in the cycling at the Velodrome, there'll be an all-English final in the 1 kilometre tandem race. Anthony Capp and John Norfolk have just set a new world record to qualify for the final, where they'll meet Simon Jackson from Rochdale and his partner Barney Story. Well, Jackson reaches the final having only taken up cycling last month.
In the tandem race, do you have to win by getting both blokes across the line, or is it the first one to cross?
You'd assume so.
I don't want any assumptions. I'm talking to the expert here. You're the sports people. I'm just asking you a sensible question.
So who wins? Just the one guy gets the medal, the one in the front seat?
You've changed the question. Are you a politician?
I'm throwing it back at you, Bezzy.
No, there's 2 people on the tandem, right? So, do they mark the second one or the first one?
They mark when the wheel crosses the line.
It's the wheel, is it?
Yeah.
So if the second one fell off halfway round, he could carry on with just one because the wheel's still there.
Well, I don't think they're allowed to do that.
Well, it's not the wheel then, is it?
They obviously both have to be on the bike.
All right, they both have to be on the bike. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it, that's
Otherwise
all. You didn't look at me like that.
Some sort of robot on the bike or some sort of mechanic.
Listen, when I do sport, I'm like a robot.
I know, I've heard it.
Just wait to be plugged in.
Post Watershed Wit and Wisdom with Sam Walker.
A horrible thing happened today. I saw, for the first time on the face of the kid, fear. Basically, it was the Hoover. And I said, oh, don't be frightened, it's only the Hoover. I went, you've not seen it before? She's 6 months old, and she has never seen the Hoover before. So I touched her arm and went, it's all right, hoovering. Mummy's scared of it as well. You won't see it again for another year, don't worry about it.
Sam Walker.
There is one new gladiator, do you know, called Battle Axe. Bless her, just imagine it. Every little girl's dream to be one of the pretty, adored gladiators. Then imagine this one sat at home, the phone rings, would you like to be a gladiator? Yes, she thinks. What will my name be? Princess, Spirit, Waif, Battle Axe.
Sam Walker, tonight from 10 at BBC Radio Manchester.
Very good. I was just telling you about the bloke who gave his last meal, or was given his last meal and then put to death in Georgia. He's got Georgia on his mind, or he did have, in America. And Russ from Lee sent me this. Considering what the prisoner on death row had for his last meal, it's a wonder he didn't die of lethal ingestion. That's very good. I like that. That's my kind of gag. No, I'm not clever enough to make gags like that, but I enjoy them when somebody else does. Regarding the gentleman who has problems with DAB, I used to live in Greater Manchester and also had problems with Radio Manchester and others on DAB. I found out later that the problem is with the CE Manchester transmitter on Sunwind Tower in Manchester and gives out a high error signal on your DAB radio. I now live in Winsford, and DAB here is excellent. That's Simon in Winsford. Do you know, there was a moment there I thought I was in a different universe. I never understood a word of that. Eddie in Whitefield. Are you ready?
How do you do, Alan?
What can we do for you?
Second time I spoke to you now.
Right.
Last time I spoke to you was about my colleague, who munched a little bit of a not suitable pasty. And I had some bloody rebound from Ken, didn't I? Can I start off on a slightly flippant note?
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Right, I'll try and speed up, because, do you know, forgive my nerves, people who are listening and all that. It's quite difficult speaking to Allan Beswick, you know. I love people who are so calm with you. I was thinking when you were mentioning about, you know, the Pierpoint In my head, when you mentioned it yesterday or the day before, I was thinking Pierpoint the musical. That'd be a lot bigger. And then I thought...
yeah, it could work.
I just died in your arms tonight.
The songs are all there, aren't they? Yeah.
Do you
I'm
think
just
I've
waiting.
opened the floodgates?
You might have done that. That would be a bad thing, wouldn't it? What other songs could there be?
Oh, there are so many. Hung on you.
Hung on you. We could put the first performance on in Bolton, couldn't we? At the last drop.
Well, have you noticed that's what so many people do, and they try and the musical seems to be the thing now. And
well, yeah, that
sorry
is
to
worrying.
denigrate the BBC itself, but this Nancy with Graham Norton. How long will this go on for?
I don't know, but if I had a programme called Nancy, I'd very definitely get Graham Norton to present it.
Exactly, yes. The jokes have all been done and dusted.
I was just, making sure that you know...
Right, before I get to the factor of what I want to do, back to
there's
the...
more. Go on.
An apology to Ken again, if the lads are listening. I didn't mean any insult by that. But...
Never mind, Ken. Let's just get on,
okay, we'll get on to that.
I've got to go home at 2.
I just want to say that I didn't mean any offence to him personally. None whatsoever. It's a general problem that a lot of people have, and there are so many variations.
You'll have to give me the details of what we're talking about now, because just name references doesn't quite do it for me.
Right, well, Ken was the fella who came on after me saying, who does he think he is?
Yeah, I'm aware. What I don't know is what you're talking about. I've got the names.
Sorry, Alan.
It's okay, don't worry.
My nerves are getting to me, and I'm
mate, you're getting on mine as well.
So I understand that. Keep me grounded, please.
I'm doing my best.
Right.
Right.
When I spoke to this superstore, and they've wrote to me, they've actually said, Alan who?
Fair enough.
Yeah. A consumer item. What they're going to do now to try and simplify. The colleague of mine did not apply within the 7-day period. So he could have appealed within 7 days. He didn't do it.
What you've not yet told me, despite me asking 3 or 4 times...
Yeah, I'm sorry about this.
...is what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
I know it's something to do with a pasty, and that's
correct,
that's it. Well, I know that, because you told me. I wasn't...
That's what I'm saying, try and keep me grounded.
Yeah, so tell me what the problem was.
The problem was that this colleague of mine was fired from a superstore.
I remember, fired for eating a pasty that he found on the floor.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he didn't find it on the floor. He's a baker.
Oh, so it was a dodgy one?
It was...
misshapen?
Yes.
Whatever. He ate it and it wasn't his.
Not suitable for sale.
And they said...
Yeah.
And they said the rules are you don't eat the food.
That's it. They fired him on the spot.
Right, I've got that. Yeah. So what are you on about now?
A bit like your colleague, James.
So go on.
But totally different circumstances. What they've got back to me with so far, the letter is actually saying we are looking into this. Mr. Was given a notice that he has 7 days to appeal against the decision.
Yes.
He didn't. And he's telling me vehemently that he was not given that notice. He didn't get a verbal notice.
Fine.
And no 7-day notice.
Fine. Well, that will be a matter for the tribunal.
Okay.
If it goes to a employment tribunal.
But he's just, he's worried all this, and I'm the one that's doing all the hard work, and I'm sorry about my nerves again to everyone that's listening.
I hope you're not representing him at the tribunal if you're this
give
nervous.
Over.
No,
As if. I'll let other people do that, Alan.
So basically...
You do your job, I do my bits.
The argument has now moved from
It has.
over the facts of the case to another set of facts, and that is the process that has been applied.
Well, this company, when I mentioned your name, Allan Beswick, they said who?
Yeah, well, if you do that joke again, we'll all doze off.
Oh, well,
so,
I'm sorry. All right.
I'm not bothered.
But what they're saying is
I'm trying to help you.
They are now prepared to extend the review period and reassess the situation.
Right, so they've extended his appeal time, so he's going to bung in an appeal?
Yes.
Right. Is that what you come on to tell me?
More or less. The other thing is I've got a problem. Apart from Pierpoint the musical, which is slightly amusing, I've definitely opened the floodgates on that one.
I shouldn't bank on it, but do go on.
Oh, you know your listeners, don't you? They can't resist.
Well, I thought I did till now, but go on.
I love you put that. I still love you to death. I've got an item waiting for me. I ordered it 28 days ago, paid cash through a postal order.
Well, was it cash or a postal order?
Well, isn't that equivalent? A postal order?
No, cash is cash, postal order's postal order,
Okay,
check's check, credit card's credit card.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming
Promissory note's promissory note. They're all different. That's why they have different names.
from. Right, it's a postal order that I made payable. If
So you paid by postal order.
Yes.
We've got that sorted, right? You paid postal order for something to be collected at a later date.
To be sent to me via post.
Right, so it was to be sent to you.
Yes.
Has it been sent to you?
No.
Where's
And
it
it's now
got?
28 days on.
Right. You mentioned the word to collect. Well, it's two words, I grant you. You mentioned the two words to collect a few moments ago. What was the relevance of those?
None.
None. Okay. Well, as long as we know. Right, so you bought something...
I've paid for something that I haven't received yet.
That's part of the process of buying.
What I'm trying to ask you, Alan, to try and speed it up, is the legal matters when it's post-delivery. They say, please allow up to 7 or 14 days. Maximum.
Well, they usually
it used
say
to be
20,
under
yeah.
Mail Order Protection Society, the MOPS.
Well, no, mail order is mail order.
Yeah,
It's got
that's what I'm
nothing...
doing, yeah.
Well, MOPS applied to mail order. You may not have done mail order. I don't know.
Well, I have, yes.
Yeah, but thank you. I need to know.
I understand that.
I only have... It's a bizarre thing about this, but I only have the information you give me.
I understand.
Now,
I
what
apologise again for my nerves.
Don't apologise. What I've heard thus far is you bought something with a postal order...
Yes.
...that you wanted to be delivered.
Yes.
Right. Now, what I don't know is... well, whether they've attempted to deliver it, whether there's been no attempt to deliver it, how long they said they would take to deliver it as a maximum, whether that time has expired or not. So none of that do I know.
That's what I'm asking you.
I don't know. The facts are yours.
Well, the facts are...
when did you order it?
On the 9th last month.
The 9th of last month? So
Yes,
the 9th
they
of
received...
April.
I sent it recorded delivery.
Right.
They received the payment
Right.
of a postal order.
Yeah, they got the payment, yes.
Yeah, on Thursday, the 10th.
You know that how?
Because I sent it recorded delivery.
So you are presuming?
No, I'm not. I've rang the number and it confirms delivery.
Right. So
and the time of delivery.
So you've now... So when I said, how do you know, you could have said, because the post office have confirmed that.
Okie dokes.
That would have helped me, wouldn't
Well,
it?
you see, I'm not as good
It
as you,
doesn't
am I?
matter, so...
I'm not as old either, Alan.
Well,
thank you.
But the evidence points in other directions.
Yes.
So
I doubt it.
you've sent...
I'm coming up to 38 tomorrow.
Well, don't worry, your brain's addled enough for 90.
Oh, I know.
So you've sent a postal order, which you know to have been delivered...
Yes, that's correct.
...on the 10th of April.
Yeah.
Right. Now, were you involved in any negotiations? The answer to this question, for convenience sake, is yes or no. Were you involved in any negotiations at all about the delivery date?
Yes.
And what form did those negotiations take?
Telephone.
Right. So you inquired what the delivery date was before you sent off the postal order. Did you make the order over the post, or over the telephone, or did you make the order by post?
Post.
So you ordered it by post. You didn't order it on the phone and then send the money.
No, I checked the stock level. And
No, I
they
don't
said
care
it
about that. Just answer the questions I put to you. I don't want to know what you did otherwise. I just want to know what
Post.
Right. So you ordered it by post. So as far
Recorded
as...
delivery, yes.
Right. Now, what communication have you received from them since?
Nothing in letter.
Nothing... When you say nothing in letter, I asked you what communication have you received. If you say nothing in letter, have you had a phone call?
No, they haven't rang me. I've rang them twice.
Right, so you have received no information from them whatsoever, other than that you have canvassed.
Correct.
When was the most recent of your phone calls?
Last week.
Last week.
Wednesday.
Last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And what transpired during that?
It's in the postal system now, and it should be with you. Nothing whatsoever.
Well, that's not nothing, that's something. You just told me. You can't say this is what they said nothing.
But if it's in the postal system...
I'm asking you what they said.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alan.
Right, so what they said was it's in the postal system, but they didn't tell you when it would be with you.
What I'm asking
Did they or didn't they tell you when it would be with you?
No.
All right, what are you asking me? Half a sentence, go on.
The legalities of the 28-day clause.
Well, did you tell them at the time of ordering that you wanted it within 28 days?
Yes. And they also said that to me on the phone call.
Right. Well, that is the contract. The legalities are irrelevant. That is the contract. If it's not with you in 28 days, they've broken the contract. You're entitled to your money back.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, wow. You are so ace. I'm sorry about my nerves.
Don't worry about
And
it.
everything.
0161 228 2255. You want to join us? You can. Buy a pasty off him, would you?
Join me, Sam Walker, tonight from 10 as we talk through the news of the day with comedian Don Woodward and also chatting life lessons with Dr. David Corshall.
It's not easy sometimes. You get thrown about all over the place. It's just not easy. It's not easy for me. I expect a little of sympathy. 0161 228 2255.
95.1 FM.
DAB Digital Radio.
And the World Wide Web.
This is Manchester.
BBC Radio Manchester.
At 1 o'clock, Manchester will get big screens for the UEFA Cup final, and ITV have fined more than $5 million over phone line competitions.
And Lancs lose Mark Chilton for 37 on day 2 at Old Trafford.
Well, this afternoon, very warm and mostly sunny, top temperatures 24 Celsius.
And traffic still queuing on the M6 northbound between 19 Knutsford all the way back to 18 at Middlewich in light of some early repair works.
Good afternoon, I'm Faye Rusco. Football supporters in Manchester for the UEFA Cup final will get the chance to watch the match on big outdoor screens at fan zones. Up to 90,000 Glasgow Rangers and Zenit St Petersburg fans are expected in the city for the game next week. There had been worries that not enough was being done to look after the fans, but now measures have been announced, including screens which will be placed at key places in the city centre. Pat Carney, a city centre councillor, is looking forward to the event.
Well, we got there in the end. We had a number of security problems to work out with the police, and because we have a top objective of making sure everyone has the most amazing time in the city, but also we want to have everybody safe and go home safely. I'm really pleased. It's going to be the most amazing 24 hours Manchester's seen. I don't think we've seen anything like this for a long time. It's going to be great. It's going to put Manchester as one of the major sporting capitals of Europe.
The Cheshire family of a barrister shot dead during an armed siege say they're devastated by what's happened. Mark Saunders had kept police at bay for hours during a standoff at his exclusive home in London. He'd been firing at neighbouring homes and was eventually shot dead as police burst in. The broadcasting watchdog Ofcom has fined ITV a record £5.67 million for abusing premium rate phone services in viewer competitions. The media regulator said it found institutionalised failure within the broadcaster. A charity worker from Bolton is preparing to travel to Burma following the devastating cyclone which struck the country 5 days ago. It's left an estimated 100,000 dead and 1 million homeless. Iqbal Rawat from Great Lever has family members in Burma who've told him the country urgently needs help.
We understand they're going to need basic food and water and shelter, so once I go out there we'll have larger funds that we'll hopefully be spend and do it in a much larger scale. So it's getting hold of the goods. Once we've got the goods, we can distribute quite effectively.
£10 billion worth of edible foods being thrown away by UK households every year, according to a new study. The Waste and Resources Action Programme says the average household throws out a third of all food bought at a cost of up to £600 a year. Researchers found more than 1 million unopened yoghurts, 440,000 ready meals and 5,500 chickens being discarded every day. Amity Friddle, who's a mum, says she finds it difficult not to buy too much food.
When you go to a supermarket, you go in for a pint of milk and bread. It's impossible just to come back with those two things. You think, oh, I'll buy some apples, oh, I'll buy that fresh cream cake because it's just there and it's presented so well on the shelves.
And a Stockport taxi firm is clamping down on their drivers' dress sense. Metro taxis have told employees that shorts and hats are a big no-no after some customers complained. The firm say only those who wear hats for religious reasons will be allowed to keep them on.
BBC Radio Manchester. Sports with Will Perry.
Well, let's get an update from the cricket. It's day 2 in the county championship for Lancashire's match with Durham. Lunch is on the cards, but we've had a wicket. Chris Malaban is at Old Trafford.
Indeed we have, Will, yes. Mark Chilton perished just before lunch. 97 for 1 at Lancashire as they take the lunch interval after 31 overs, so leading this match by 126 runs with 9 of their second innings wickets intact. Disappointment, though, for the home side that Chilton, having played so well, perished just before the interval. Paul Wiseman was the bowler. His off-break looped up and Chilton pushed forward. The ball went up into the air and Phil Mustard ran around and acrobatically took the catch. So Chilton gone for 37. That was 77 for 1. Paul Horton, though, has been the star of the morning, playing beautifully once again for his 3rd championship half-century of the season. He got there against Surrey and Somerset. Time will tell if he can go on to 3 figures this time. Lunchtime then at Old Trafford, Lancashire, 97 for 1.
Cheers, Chris. Well, former Lancs and England captain Michael Atherton says he doesn't think Andrew Flintoff should be recalled for the first test against New Zealand at Lord's next week. He says the all-rounder needs more time to get fully fit and build up his form and confidence. Sven-Göran Eriksson has confirmed he met with officials from Benfica in a Manchester hotel yesterday. The Manchester City boss is discussing a package to take him back to his former club, should he be disposed, of course, by Thaksin Shinawatra in the summer. Wigan Warriors forward Gareth Hock has signed a 1-year extension to his current contract. That'll see him stay at the JJB until the end of 2011. And in Formula 1, Heikki Kovalainen will be fit to race for McLaren in this weekend's Turkish Grand Prix. That's after his high-speed crash in Spain.
BBC Radio Manchester, satellite weather with Heather Stott.
Well, this afternoon there's plenty of sunshine around and it's going to stay dry, although it may turn cloudy in 1 or 2 places for a time this afternoon. There is a brisk southeasterly breeze blowing, but very warm with top temperatures of 24 Celsius.
Allan Beswick with you on the phones. 0161 228 2255.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Oh dear. Bus passengers in Scotland and those waiting at stops towards the end of a long route are getting the poorest bus services, apparently. I suppose Scotland would be the end of a long route, wouldn't it? A total of 75% of buses on non-frequent service routes in England were on time, compared with the figure of 72% in 2005. But for Scotland, the figure for last year was only 73%, although it was an improvement on the 66 2 years before. The statistics also showed that on long routes, 84% of buses was on time at the beginning of the route, but only 62% were on time at stops more than 1 hour from the start of the route. I just read them out, me. This has just been set. Poorest bus services revealed. I'm just going down it now, if you'll pardon the expression, to see if I can find out anything about buses in Manchester. But it doesn't do that, no. It mentions London, obviously, but we don't get a specific mention, so just London and Scotland get a kicking. It's just gone 1:05. Richard in Whalley Range. Hiya, Richard.
Hi, Alan, thanks. A query you may be able to help or find something out for us. I've received an email from friends in America, and it seems to have gone to a number of people. And they're saying that if you receive an email with the word postcard in it, it's a virus that's very dangerous. Now, the chap who originated this said he'd checked out, I think it was either Snopes or Snoop somewhere in America, who advised him that it is. I wonder if you've heard about it, or any way of finding out what it exactly is.
Yeah.
You've not heard anything of it? You've not anything there in front of you could check out at all?
No.
Oh. That's a disappointment.
Yeah. What does one say? Yeah. It's just simple, really. We get a lot of emails knocking about at the moment saying such and such a thing is a virus, and they're just hoaxes. They're not viruses at all, but that's not to say that yours isn't.
Correct. Yeah, we did have one ages ago, which we were aware of, and it was a hoax. But as I said, this has gone through quite a number of people who I know and sort of trust in that sense.
Yeah.
And they've taken this.
Well, I've not heard of it. But there's no reason why I would. If anybody else has heard of it, of a virus that is go on.
The message is saying it's a postcard for you, or words to that effect. If in the opening address, it says postcard.
Yeah.
Advise not to open it.
But I mean, one is forced to say if you receive an email from a friend, you would hope that that friend has already cleared it.
That's it.
And if you just get a random email from somebody, then I never open them anyway.
I never do. I just get rid and don't bother at all.
Yes.
I just wonder whether there'll be a website that you could check it up on at all.
Well, the trouble is, if there is, that too will be unreliable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Is there a website for liars where I can check out whether they're telling the truth? It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy, but not that useful.
We're very busy indeed. We'll have time to talk to you.
All right, Richard. If anyone's heard of it, I'm sure they'll come on and confirm, deny, or whatever. But
well, I say I've got the radio on, so we'll listen for the rest of the
that's jolly decent of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
The postcard virus is how I'm describing it. Have you heard of it?
Life and laughs with Eamon and Jimmy.
What was it, the Didgeridoo bar on Key Street?
Yeah.
It was an Australian theme bar, and there was a big boomerang behind the bar, and this bloke said to me, "Oh, look at that boomerang, if I throw that, will it come back?"
Jimmy said it will if it hits me.
Eamon O'Neill
and Jimmy Wag.
Oh, I used to go to Sports Street myself.
I know you did. That girl who binged you.
Yeah, that's another one who chucked
You
me.
hook 'em, we'll cook 'em.
I said, nah, forget it.
Eamon and Jimmy.
One I nearly forgot to tell you, was involved in a crash the other day with one of those new Skodas.
Flipping heck.
What a mess. Jam, sponge, marzipan, all over the place.
If your radio sounds funny on Sunday morning, you must be listening to Eamon O'Neill and Jimmy Wag.
What a floor filler that one.
Sunday morning from 9.
At BBC Radio Manchester.
We do get some odd questions, and I don't know the answer to quite a lot of them. Vinny in Rochdale says, Alan, please could you tell me how to find the phone number on an old SIM card? You know the little card that's in your phone? How do you find the phone number on that? Now, my reaction, and this may be complete and utter gibberish, to be honest, but my reaction is, bung it in a phone. You put it in the phone, and the phone will tell you what number it is, because it comes up, doesn't it, when you put your SIM card in a new phone. You get a new phone, you take your SIM card out, you put it in the new phone, and the number comes up, all the numbers come up. So I suppose that's the answer, unless, of course, it's not compatible with a new phone, or with the phone you have now. So there's a question for you that Vinny would like the answer to. How do you check the phone number of an old SIM card? Completely over my head. Terry in Tilsley. Hiya, Terry.
Hi, Alan.
What have you got?
Last week we spoke about nurse training. This week I've got the answer to the blood pressure question.
Oh, please do, yes.
Well, your blood pressure is controlled by a number of factors. The amount of blood you've got circulating, how thick it is, how strong your heart is, and a thing called peripheral resistance, which is the narrowness of the blood vessels at the extremities of any organ.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if any of those are affected, then your blood pressure either goes up or down. So you were quite accurate, for example, in saying that if you get plaque, as we call it, gunge, on the inside of your blood vessels, that will increase the peripheral resistance and your blood pressure will go up.
Yep.
Conversely, if you have a heavy bleed, you have a hemorrhage, then your blood pressure will go down.
Yeah.
So what this chap needs to know are the pathologies involved in that process. Now, the pathologies could be hardening of the blood vessels, the heart working too hard by its very nature, kidney disease or any other organ disease, a problem with the brain even, which controls your blood pressure in a thing called the medulla oblongata.
Mm-hmm.
So any of those that can go wrong. But the things that influence it that we should avoid are things like too much fat in the food, unsaturated fats, smoking definitely, because that narrows the blood vessels, any drugs that narrow blood vessels, and also alcohol. So all of those things can cause your blood pressure to go up.
So the chap, John, whose friend has had high blood pressure diagnosed, I mean, one presumes his doctor who's done the diagnosing will tell him all the things he needs to do, but can actually can take some responsibility and have some effect on his own blood pressure. He's already doing that with more exercise, of course. Because when they take your blood pressure, it's your blood pressure at rest, isn't it? It's not your blood pressure at work. Otherwise, by at work, I mean whilst under physical exercise. Otherwise, it'd be high all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there there are two things. You know, when you take your blood pressure, they give you two numbers, don't you? 120 over 80 or whatever.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
What is it? Systolic and dystolic, is it?
Systolic and diastolic.
That's it, yeah, there's something like
and
that.
your systolic is the pressure exerted by your heart when it pumps. So that's the maximum strength of the heart. And it would send up a column of mercury by 120 millimetres, or whatever the number is.
Yeah.
The lower number is your heart at rest. So between beats, if you like.
Yep.
Now, the problem for people with blood pressure isn't necessarily the top one, the strength of the heart, but what it is at rest, between heartbeats.
That's the crucial one, isn't it?
That's the crucial one.
That's the killer, although the other's relevant too.
Well, they're both relevant, but the diastolic, if that's too high, your lower one's too high, then you that's an indication there's something wrong, really.
Now, in general terms, for a human being, an adult male, because they're different with all sorts of others, but for an adult male, what would be acceptable? Because they used to say, and I know this has changed, I mean, you mentioned 120 over 80, but they used to say 100 plus your age over 80. That's what they used to say. Well, now, they've changed that in the last 2 decades.
It's still fairly accurate, though.
Yeah.
It's still fairly accurate, and as a rough guide, I mean, as a young person, an athlete, for example, they don't want a high blood pressure above about 130, 140.
Well, I heard the other day, it just happened to be listening to an interview, and it was an interview with a sports medical advisor, and he was talking about, you know, that rower who won 5 Olympic medals. I've forgotten his name.
Matthew Pinson?
Yeah, no, the other one, the one that was with him, the older one that won 5. Pinson's done 3, I think, or 4. I've forgotten his name. Steve Redgrave, thank you. And that's Becky Want just told me. What's she doing? No one else, boy. He doesn't sell anything, does he? Anyway, Sir Steve Redgrave's obviously endorsing clothes somewhere. But Sir Steve Redgrave, his blood pressure was extraordinarily low at rest because, of course, as an athlete, he was getting it to do some extraordinary things anyway. It was quite he gave the figure. I'm not going to repeat it because it's not my business, but quite extraordinary.
Yeah, that's normal. An athlete would have 2 things. They'd have a lower pulse rate.
Yeah.
It would return to their lower pulse rate much quicker than you or I if we ran round the block after exercise. And also their blood pressure is lower, which gives them the capacity to increase their exercise without adverse effects, effectively. The older you get, we're like cars. The older we get, the more our parts wear out and become stiff. And
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Hey, they don't all become stiff. Anyway, Terry, my hair's still all loose.
The bits that don't matter become stiff, and the bits that do matter don't become stiff.
And it's all to do with blood pressure. Terry, thank you for that explanation.
That's a pleasure, Alan.
Got us all off the hook. Good on you, mate. Cheers.
Bye-bye, mate.
Terry talking about blood pressure and how you get it and why it's bad if you've got it too high and what you can do to get it down. Alan, over the years I've bought 3 Freeview boxes. All good. I believe that some areas of the UK will always have reception issues with terrestrial digital broadcasting, and to the effect the BBC would have to erect more transmitters and to that end finance such at great cost. As the BBC has had its budget cut, it needed to ensure its commitment to the digital switch on and has teamed up with ITV to share the cost. The most cost-effective way is to use satellite. So the poor sods who can't get Freeview will now be able to shell out 120 quid for a dish, thus saving the BBC the cost. I think it's 120 quid for the converter, but no matter. Thus saving the BBC the cost. In my opinion, the BBC should compensate those who have to buy dishes. Just a thought, says Lewis. I've never quite understood that, because it has never been the case that the BBC provide you with the ability to receive the programmes. We don't give you a telly, neither do ITV, and frankly, neither do Sky. Nor do we give you a radio. We don't give you any of those things. All we do is push the signal out. And if you want to receive the signal, you buy the equipment to do it. That's how it works. That's how it works. They're all saying, I've got an HD telly, why can't I get free HD? Well, we didn't make you buy the bloody HD telly, you dumbbell. You buy the equipment and we give you the signal. What gets paid for with your licence fee is the programme. not the method of reception. You buy that. It's how it's always been, and frankly, I don't think it's going to change. And a pal of mine the other day was whining because FreeSat is going to cost him 120 quid, he reckons. His television is a gigantic plasma that when he got it was $4,500. Trying to point to the errors in his logic was tricky, but that's because he's as thick as pig muck. And good morning, Kevin, by the way. 0161 228 2255. Jimmy in Wiggins says, to find a phone card number, by that I think we mean a SIM card number, put the SIM card into the phone and call a friend. The number will show up on the friend's phone, and that will tell you what the number on that card is. Sounds reasonable to me, unless, of course, the SIM card is not compatible with the phone. And I don't think we have those, do we? There aren't SIM cards now, aren't they all universal? Or, how did he do that with the iPhone? You know, that expensive one that only posers have got? Hello, John. Yeah, that iPhone one that only posers have got. How did he do that? Because presumably that has a SIM card in it. Oh, I don't know. And I don't know why I ask, because I don't care. Why would I care?
BBC Radio Manchester.
Headline news.
Football supporters in Manchester for the UEFA Cup final will get the chance to watch the match on big outdoor screens at fan zones across the city. The Cheshire family of a barrister shot dead during an armed siege in London say they're devastated by what's happened. And a charity worker from Bolton is preparing to travel to Burma following the devastating cyclone which struck the country 5 days ago. Manchester's weather very warm, mostly sunny, highs of 24 Celsius. I'm Faye Rusco.
BBC Radio Manchester 2020 traffic.
Well, finally, delays seem to be easing on the M6 northbound between 19 Knutsford and 18 Middlewich. It was built up for a while because of some emergency repair works taking place. They have now been complete, and since those lanes have been reopened to traffic, it does seem to be improving, thankfully. Now, we're not doing too bad a notice on the Sharston Link Road, maintaining a nice steady speed through the roadworks on the M56 between Junction 3 Bagley and Junction 2 Sharston, heading towards the M60. Don't forget, though, we're still seeing reports of delays coming in about the trains. London Midlands services are subject to delay alongside Virgin Train services and cross-country services because of these electricity supply problems in the Rugby area. So if you are heading to London over the next few hours, it's probably best to check with National Rail inquiries before you travel. No reported problems on the Metro link, running to schedule. Don't forget, of course, if you know different, maybe you've spotted something on the roads or on the trains, do get in touch hands-free on 0161 244 4951. I'm Carol Banks.
Helping Manchester, help Manchester. BBC Radio Manchester Interaction with Linda Kay.
If you have eczema, you'll know how frustrating it can be looking after your dry and itchy skin. And when it gets severe, it can make your life a misery.
The thing that people say to you time after time is do not scratch. And the one thing that you can't do when you've got eczema is not scratch. It is impossible.
Suzanne from the National Eczema Society knows only too well how it feels.
It's very, very distressing, I think, because people really don't understand how it feels to have skin that itches all the time. The more you itch, the more you scratch, the more you scratch, the more you itch, and it can be very, very difficult for the skin to heal.
We don't know what causes eczema, and the treatments can be trial and error. Well, there's one thing that's vital.
The absolute mainstay for somebody with eczema is emollients. It's very important that the skin remains as moist as possible. And also, as you live with eczema, you start to understand what makes it worse. You realise if you go near animals, that may make your eczema worse. Certain foods may make your eczema worse. Unfortunately, it can be a lifetime of trial and error, but the reassurance is there that there will be something out there that suits you.
If you have eczema, it's always best to get advice from your doctor. Interaction can also send you a free information pack with lots of good advice. For your copy, call 0161 244 4321.
BBC Radio Manchester Interaction with CSB Broadcast. 0161 244 4321.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Do you remember Sid at the beginning, who was complaining that he visited Ashton in Makerfield shopping centre and couldn't find a place designated for those with disabilities, which he's entitled to use, And one such place was being used by the liveried delivery vehicle of a national chemist. Yeah? Anyway, we've spoken to the national... Well, we've put a call in to the press office of the national chemist, and they are now raining downwards towards Makerfield to find out what the hell went on. We'll let you know. It might well be tomorrow now. We've only got half an hour. It might well be tomorrow before we have more detail, but there you are. The inquiry's gone in. We shall find out what, if anything, they have to say on the matter. Yeah, we don't do that normally, but I just thought, whatever. It's a nice warm day. Let's upset somebody's apple cart. And here's a question, and I think it's a belter from David in Crumpsall. He says, leaving aside the opinions about capital punishment, one thing puzzles me about the American way of execution by lethal injection. The cocktail of drugs used to do the various jobs seems to be a bit controversial. And yet, when I've taken an old dog on a one-way trip to the vet, the job seems to be done much more efficiently and humanely. The vet shaved a patch of fur off the dog's leg, administered the injection, and 20 seconds later, the dog was dead. I asked the vet what he used, and his answer was a massive dose of barbiturates, one of the items used in the US. So why do the Americans have such a problem? Well, I suppose the answer might be, and I feel sure that others will tell me if I'm wrong, I suppose the answer might be that a dog is just a dog. It doesn't know that what is happening to it is going to end in its death. It can't work. I know people say dogs are clever, but the only people who believe dogs are clever are people who are idiots and therefore less clever than their dogs. Dogs aren't clever. They're just biting and crapping machines. So, the vet shaves off a patch of fur and the dog thinks, I'm not keen on this. Then it gets an injection, I'm not keen on this, and then it thinks, oh, I don't feel so good, and then it's dead. But if you did that with a human, particularly one that's been sat on death row for a number of months, if not years, he or she knows precisely what is going on. And then the thing that arrests the heart, basically it's a tranquilizer, it just stops everything working. The thing that arrests the heart, the brain will still be thinking, oh, this is horrible, I'm not enjoying this at all. And then, death. So that's it. We care less about animals in that respect, but then the animals care less about it as well, because they don't have the ability to care, as it were. So I think that might be the difference, but I wouldn't stake my life on it. I stake plenty of other people's, obviously. Dave in Salford, are you?
Hi, Alan. Just before going to my point, regarding that bloke on, who's just been executed.
Yes.
What always puzzles me, I mean, if that was me in that position, God forbid, you know what I mean? But I don't think I'd be wanting anything from the last meal. You know what I mean? I can't imagine having a great appetite knowing that, in a couple of hours I'm going to be, that's the end of me kind of thing. Are you with me on that?
I don't know whether... I understand the point you're making, without a doubt, and I've often wondered about it myself. How would you have the presence of mind to think, well, this is going to be the last meal?
Yeah.
And why are you having it anyway?
I mean, when you're under kind of stress, unless they give you something to calm you down, I don't know what they do, but you tend to go off your food a bit, don't you?
Just a shade.
Yeah, just a tad.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alan, going back to this DAB thing.
Yes.
There's a chap on earlier in your show saying anyone else has any problems and that. Well, I've got quite a few DAB radios. I mean, but I get about 64 stations. I'm in Salford, and no problem at all. Get a great signal. I mean, some stations are better than others because of the bit rate.
Yeah.
Music stations tend to be better quality than, like, talk-based stations because they don't need, well, in their opinion, they don't need the same quality for speech-based radio. But, it does help that I've got a big omnidirectional roof area up, you know what I mean?
That is a helper, yes.
I mean, I can get, I can get a good few stations with the normal built-in rate, but it's nothing like, I mean, if anyone really, really is into DAB, it is worth, it cost me about 50 quid to have a roof aerial put up, and, I can get stations, all the Merseyside ones, and, Stoke, and you know what I mean. I get about 60 odd stations. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is in a lot of ways it's good, and if you're in an area of good reception, then even better. The problem is, it isn't in any way as good as what was promised.
Oh no, absolutely not.
And in lots and lots of ways, it's not. The quality. I mean, the people who complain most about DAB radio are Radio 3. And Radio 3 has shafted their audience, if you like, because with classical music, silence is as important as the sound.
Yeah.
And you get bits. I mean, when I'm listening to a piece of classical music in the car, on a CD, you get bits where you feel as if you want to turn it up because it's almost disappeared.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. But of course, when you broadcast radio, you broadcast music, you have to, we call it compressing it. You compress it to get it down the tube of the wire, if you'll accept that. And what they said about digital audio was that, well, you won't have to do that anymore. You won't have to compress it. You'll get the whole signal. But they don't.
Apparently, it's all to do with, I don't understand the real technical stuff, but bandwidth, apparently. And I think about the government when it was giving these frequencies out, instead of, like, giving a real decent chunk of bandwidth, you know, they've give.
Well, there's
not enough for all the stations.
It depends how you measure that. I mean, there is tremendous bandwidth. The signal that is sent to your radio contains information. Now, with digital radio, digital signals, you can get a lot more information in that space onto that signal. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, you then get a choice of how do you increase the amount of information. Yeah. Well, with sound, you can increase the amount of information by giving a broader range of sound, or you can give the same range of sound, but do 2 radio stations. That's what they've chosen to do.
Absolutely. It's the same with, like, satellite TV, really. I mean, because there's that many stations. A few years ago, the quality, I still said the quality was a lot better than it is now, because as more stations come on, you know, they've got to take up room, like bandwidth, from something else.
Well, it's not quite the same with satellite, because as it stands at the moment, the signal being beamed down by Sky still has an awful lot of holes in it, as it were, bits of signal that are blank.
Have you never noticed, though, Alan, if you flick through your satellite stations, you kind of, there's some stations and you can hardly hear them, if you know what I mean. They're terrible quality. Now, whether that's just to do with the...
I think that's probably as much to do with... You see, if I wanted to broadcast a television station, and I wanted to do it via the Astra satellite, I would go to the owner of the satellite, and they would say, OK, well, you need to do it via Sky, who I think own Astra anyway, but it doesn't matter. And I go to Sky, and I say, I want to broadcast on there. And what you buy is an element. You don't buy a channel. You buy some space.
Right.
Right? So if it's a bit like buying space in a newspaper. The newspaper is that size, and you go along and say, well, I only need a quarter of a page for what I want to do.
Right.
So they buy a quarter of a page, but you can't get as much information in that as if you bought the whole page.
Right.
And so some satellite channels don't buy enough for their broadcast to be in top quality.
Yeah, so you get like a really tinny kind of mono signal.
You get a poor signal, yes.
Yeah.
But that's because they've bought less than they perhaps should have done, or they've bought as much as they can afford.
But if people want a good DAB signal in this area, anyway, I really do recommend a roof aerial. It does make...
Or move to Salford.
Oh, no, well, actually, you know... I mean, it's always been a bit of a bane of contention with me. On the old system, I used to have problems getting, well, it was called GMR in them days. Well, you know what I mean? And I used to be able to pick up, God forbid, Radio Merseyside better than I could pick up my own station. And it used to really annoy me.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, what I do know, and perhaps I shouldn't say it, is if I had to replace a radio at the moment, I wouldn't buy DAB. I wouldn't buy DAB. I can't see it being there in 15 years' time.
Well, they talk about bringing a better version of DAB out, which I think is a bit of a con, innit? You know what I mean?
They improve things, and when they improve things, they change. You can't improve them without. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
it just stinks.
Though, innit? You know what I mean? They just got us all, like, buying these sets, which are not cheap. Do you know what I mean? Not if you've got a decent one. These radios are not cheap.
You'll be telling me, Dex, that your mini disc doesn't work as well as you thought it would do. Have a good day. Cheers, Dave in Salford. Do you remember that when we all bought Sony Walkmans that had cassettes in them, and then we had to throw them away and get the ones with CDs in, and now they're considered to be archaic? So I guess what happens next? Oh, guess what? Yes, what happens next is we have to get rid of them, and we've now got them little things, iPods and all that gubbins, which are very good, but they'll be replaced by something eventually. Alan, I'm afraid you're wrong, read the digital switchover, as the government has told the BBC that they must go digital and manage the switch on because the analogue signal is being sold off. The BBC is under legal obligation to ensure the public has a new digital signal available to them, whether they use it or not. This was initially done through the existing transmitters, but which were found to be wanting, so the BBC are still legally committed to provide the signal in all areas. So the BBC are obliged to provide a terrestrial digital signal through the existing aerial, not through satellite. Well, that's half right and half wrong. Yes, the BBC is required by the government to drive through the digitisation of television in order that the analogue signal can be disposed of elsewhere, which in the government's term probably means sold off. And the BBC, along with ITV, have decided to combine together and offer you those signals, those services, if you like, via satellite as an option, because it will always be that some areas will not get a sufficiently good enough signal via an analogue aerial. That's the way it will always be. And, you know, common decency means that they have to try and give it to as many people as possible. There are still places that don't get decent signals anyway. Over the years, things have been done about that. 0161 228 2255. If you receive an email with the words submicroscopic parasite in it, don't open it. It's definitely a virus. Ho-ho! Submicroscopic... Oh, never mind. Thank you, Kevin. You've been a great help. And Richard's found hoaxslayer.com. This is for the chap who wondered about the postcard virus from America. And it is one of them hoaxes. There are more hoaxes than viruses. The problem is you don't know until you've opened it and your computer goes wonky and you get sent pictures of naked ladies, which on the face of it might be a good idea, but, you know, if that's all you get, it's probably not so good, is it? If you want those, I feel sure they're available. 0161 228 2255, Radio Manchester at bbc.co.uk, and, of course, you can text on 07786 206 951. It's true, says Karen. You can get the credit report for free. And she then tells me where to go. Many's the time I've been told where to go. You'll not be surprised to learn. Anyway, you can go along and you can get it. Download your credit report immediately and then cancel your registration. I chose to subscribe to Credit Expert after downloading my free report because I found several areas on it. I contacted Experian and they corrected all the areas within 5 days. All the errors within 5 days. I was rather impressed. They are very good. All the credit reference agencies are very good at correcting that which goes wrong fairly quickly. And that's how it should be, I suppose. At the moment, this is continuing with Karen, if the weather is even slightly less than clement, the digital terrestrial signal is affected and some channels, particularly ITV ones, become pixelated and unwatchable. Yet when I switch to analogue, I can view the programmes with no problem at all. When they switch off the analogue signal, are we going to have to put up with loss of programmes in bad weather? Or will they fix it so that the signal works okay? I think if it rains, it's going to be weird. And surprisingly, it does rain round here once or twice during the course of a year. We get a little bit of precipitation, don't we? So the answer to your question is, I don't think they're able to resolve that. I don't. Maybe they are, maybe not. But I don't think they are. I don't think they're able to make the satellite signal work better in inclement weather. I think it's just the nature of the signal. But I stand here and await correction with alacrity. In Macclesfield, I can't get DAB or VHF. I listen on broadband. Good on you. Macclesfield. Strange place. There be demons. 061 228 2255. I love the way all the newspapers are covering the story of this Belfast couple who went to Portugal and collapsed. Either, well, we've had a whole range of reasons given to us by the couple themselves. First of all, we weren't drunk. We weren't drunk at all. Our drinks were spiked. Well, if you weren't drunk, what effect did spiking your drinks have? I thought that was the whole point. Your drinks were spiked. That's what made you drunk, but no. So, the changing story. Friends claim the couple drank only 3 beers and later requested details of their hospital blood tests, as she was very surprised by her reaction Sunday. Other reports suggest the couple had become ill 30 minutes after drinking a jug of sangria, while one said they must have been drugged. Tuesday, friends insist that the drinks, by now unspecified, were tampered with, leading to the woman feeling ill. And then yesterday, the statement fails to say what or how much had been drunk, only that it was not an excessive amount. So they were ratted then. So they were ratted with their kids on holiday abroad. But what do they say? What would you expect them to say? It's now known as the McCann defence. We would never put our children in danger. Yes, you would, you stupid swines.
BBC
Not only
Radio
would, but
Manchester.
Headline news.
Football supporters in Manchester for the UEFA Cup final will get the chance to watch the match on big outdoor screens. The Cheshire family of a barrister shot dead during an armed siege in London say they're devastated by what's happened. And a charity worker from Bolton's preparing to travel to Burma following the devastating cyclone which struck the country 5 days ago. Manchester's weather, warm, mostly sunny, highs of 24 Celsius. I'm Rachel Ferguson.
BBC Radio Manchester 2020 traffic.
Problems if you're heading towards London at the moment. I'm afraid we're still seeing delays of up to 50 minutes across a number of services between Northampton and Birmingham New Street because of a signalling problem, and we're also seeing some problems as well on Northern Rail between Liverpool Lime Street and Blackpool North, and it's also affecting services between Wigan North Western and St Helens Central. Again, make sure that you check with National Rail inquiries before you travel out. Don't forget, if you're using the M6 northbound, it's heavy going between 19 Knutsford and 20 at Lymm. All lanes have been reopened to traffic in light of early repair works, but I'm afraid it's still backing up slightly. If you're on the M60 anti-clockwise, debris on the carriageway between 11 Barton and 10 at the Trafford Centre, causing slight delays on the anti-clockwise approach. Don't forget, of course, if you can update me on anything you've heard or something you've spotted, get in touch hands-free if you can. 01612 244 4951. I'm Carol Banks.
BBC Radio Manchester. Sports with Will Perry.
Well, a week before the first Test match of the summer, England's greatest ever all-rounder has warned that Andrew Flintoff must not be rushed back after his latest ankle operation. England entertain New Zealand at Lord's next week, and Sir Ian Botham believes it's now make-or-break time for Andrew Flintoff.
I'd like to see Fred just have a little bit more time in county cricket, and I don't think England will need him against New Zealand. I think it's a great time where they can actually experiment with a few other younger bowlers and have a look at what's around. The guys that came back and won those 2 tests in New Zealand, it'd be very hard on any of them to be left out. So I would actually just hold Fred back a bit, and I'd like him to play a bit more county cricket, and I'd like him to have plenty of overs under his belt, plenty of runs as a batsman come the South Africans, because I think that'll be a much sterner test.
Well, Freddie was certainly in fantastic form for his county yesterday. Let's see how Lancashire are getting on today. They're taking on Durham in the County Championship at Old Trafford. They've just come out after lunch on day 2. Chris Malaban's there for us.
And the sun is still shining over Old Trafford and over Lancashire's batsmen, Will. They're 97 for 1 in the 32nd over. Mal Loy on 2 and Paul Horton, again prolific. He is 54 not out. The only wicket to tumble this morning was Mark Chilton just before lunch. He was dismissed by the off-spinner Paul Wiseman, caught behind by Phil Mustard for 37. But Lancashire have made batting look relatively easy today after yesterday's flurry of wickets and are building a good position in this match. Stuart Law, of course, has all the time and he wants to build a big second innings total. 4 more on the score as Mal Lloyd tucks that one away to the square leg fence. Lancashire 101 for 1 in the 32nd over.
Well, some interesting views there, Chris, from Sir Ian Botham. You've seen Freddie in and around Old Trafford certainly yesterday and today. How does he look?
Well, I think his bowling is coming on very well, Will. There's no question with his form and his accuracy and his pace, and everyone who's batted against him says how well he's bowled, and he's bowling at full pelt. I guess the 2 key questions are, is his fitness good enough to survive a 5-day test and potentially 2 stints of bowling 25 overs in an innings or 30 overs in an innings? And secondly, what about the batting? I think at this point in time, his form with the bat is poor. He's clearly not getting any scores, and if England are going to pick him, they couldn't afford to pick him at number 6. So he would have to play as a specialist bowler only and bat at 7 or 8. And I guess the question for Peter Moores will be, is he prepared to do that, or would he rather get the full Freddie back and running again so he's got an all-rounder at his disposal who can bat in that number 6 spot?
Was that another wicket there, Chris? Was that you dropping your tee?
No, that's just the tee flying past. It's the once again, it's the Old Trafford wind just hurtling through my commentary box.
Excellent. There's the expert view from BBC Radio Manchester's Chris Malaband. Well, meanwhile, the England and Wales Cricket Board has admitted to holding informal conversations with Jeff Boycott as to help out with the coaching youngsters, including the England under-19s. But they say there hasn't been an approach to assist with the England first team. Well, Sven-Göran Eriksson has confirmed he met with Benfica's president Luis Felipe Vieira last night in a Manchester hotel. The Manchester City boss is discussing a package to take him back to his former club should he be disposed of by Thaksin Shinawatra in the summer. Kevin Parker from the city's official supporters club says he can't blame Sven for starting to think about another job.
Dr. Thaksin is saying that no decision has been made yet, when I think the opposite is pretty clear, that a decision has been made, that Sven will leave at the end of the season. I suppose all of us in our own individual jobs, if we know that there's no future for us in job 1 and an opportunity comes along in job 2, you wouldn't dismiss that straight away.
Well, it's a big day for City tomorrow. They'll find out if they get an automatic place in the UEFA Cup next season via the Fair Play League. In Rugby League, Wigan Warriors and Great Britain forward Gareth Hock has signed a 1-year extension to his current contract. That'll see him stay at the JJB until the end of 2011. The Rugby League Hour is tonight at 7 o'clock here on BBC Radio Manchester. Jack and Trevor will be chewing over the top stories of the week and looking ahead to the 5th round of the Challenge Cup this weekend. In Formula 1, Heikki Kovalainen will be fit to race for McLaren in this weekend's Turkish Grand Prix. That's after his high-speed crash in Spain, of course. In the Paralympic World Cup, South African swimmer Natalie de Toy has arrived in Manchester to compete in that. Last weekend, she became the first amputee to qualify for the Olympic Games, beating her compatriot sprinter Oscar Pistorius. But she says that wasn't on her mind.
It wasn't really a race for me. I think I just went out there and obviously tried to qualify for the Olympics myself. That's my dream, my goal. And I knew it was one race and I had to sort of give it everything. So I went out there and tried my best and qualified for the Olympics. I didn't expect to come 4th. I was actually just trying to come 10th, and just really grateful to have qualified.
Well, in the cycling at the Paralympic World Cup at the Velodrome, Anthony Capp and John Norfolk have set a new world record and won gold in the All-English 1-kilometre tandem final. They beat Simon Jackson from Rochdale and his partner Barney Storey. And Sarah Storey has won a bronze medal in the women's 500-metre race, also in record time.
Mornings sound better with Eamon O'Neill and Diane Oxford.
Eamon and Diane.
Do you not do rides?
No,
I don't really.
I always look at what's going to go wrong. I've got a good risk assessment in my head, and I don't want to be hanging upside down, showing me knickers to the firemen as they come and rescue me.
People would pay extra for that, wouldn't they, usually?
I'd have to pay them.
Eamon and Diane and you.
What's the moon made of, Mum? She says cheese. I wish I could get there, because I could mine it, vacuum pack it, and send it back home and be a millionaire within a few months.
The station with Eamon and Diane for breakfast.
I just don't want to do it.
Back tomorrow morning from 6 at BBC Radio Manchester.
A very good day to you. How are you? Just for the record, by the way, you've been hearing all morning, after we brought the story, that these dirty great big screens are going to be erected so the wee jockeys can watch the poltroonious game. But it won't be on the BBC screen. So if you've got a touch of the if you've got a touch of the Hibernian about you, and you fancy watching the match in public, then don't go to the BBC screen, because the cops have said we can't use that one because of the confined space. But there are other areas, as you've been hearing in the news, so just for that. Just so you know. And ITV have been fined £5.5 million for abusing premium rate phone services in view of competitions. £5.5 million. Tony in Bolton, hiya.
Hello.
What have you got, mate?
I rented a house and I paid it no problem for best part of a year, and then I've had a bit of problems with my health and I fell behind with my rent. I've tried my best to sort it out and I've talked to the landlord and he has been holding off for a bit, but he wants me to pay him and I just can't give him the money because I just don't have it to pay the arrears. And anyway, he says that he wants me to move out for Saturday. We've not been to court or anything like that. He just says that he wants me out by Saturday.
Okay.
I was told that today, this morning.
Then don't move. Say you're not moving out by Saturday, you're not moving out without a court order, and then ring your nearest Citizens Advice Bureau and go and get advice and help.
Right, can you not do that then?
He can't evict you without a court order. There are some cases where he possibly can, but they're so tiny in number, you're not one of them almost certainly. But don't move out.
Okay.
Say you are not moving out, full stop, and if he wants to get a court order, that's up to him. But then go and get some advice. On your financial situation, because there may be things available that you've not claimed that you might be entitled to, and B, get help about your security of tenure, in other words, your right to remain in the home.
And what would happen if he did come round on Saturday to try and put us out? What should we do?
Well, he has no right of access to the property, so you don't let him in. And if he says it's my house, you say that may be so, but it's my home, you're not coming in.
Okay, so don't move, basically.
No, but honestly, Citizens Advice Bureau, ring them up, make an appointment if you have to, but get to see them within the next 24 hours.
Okay, that's great. Thank
All
you
right?
very much for your help.
But he almost certainly can't evict you yet. That isn't to say that he cannot. I mean, one of the things, if I remember the law correctly, and I'm not a lawyer, one of the things he has to do is give you written notice to quit, and he's clearly not done that. And that has to contain certain things. So there are all sorts of procedural things that he needs to achieve before he can get you out.
Well, you know, when you said about written notice to quit, he gave me some papers to say this is what he's going to do if I didn't do something, we didn't do that, but we've never been to court or anything.
No, but if he decides to take you to court for eviction, he will have to convince the court that he has served written notice to quit.
Right.
Well, that used to be the law, and I suspect it still is. But you need proper advice, sat down opposite somebody. Make an appointment if it's necessary, or go and sit and wait until you can see an advisor at your Citizens Advice Bureau. Take all the paperwork with you to look at two things. One, whether you're receiving all the money that you might be entitled to. It's possible, given that your income has diminished, it's possible that you can get help with the rent. It's possible that you can get help with your finances, given that you're sick. All right?
Right.
So there are all sorts of things that might be available to you. It's even possible that your employer has not been paying you that which he or she should pay you during the course of your illness. So all those things need to be dealt with, and the place for that is to sit down at your Citizens Advice Bureau. They'll go through all your income and find out whether you've got it. They'll also advise you how to prioritise that which you spend. The number of people who, when they fall on hard times, continue paying the hire purchase on their fridge or their car or something, when in truth what they ought to be doing is looking at what has to be paid, what it would be good to pay, and what it would be nice to pay if there's any money left over.
Right.
So you need help with that. So talk to your CAB about the potential for eviction and what you need to do to forestall that, and then about your income. Because if the landlord wants to evict you presently, if it was possible for you to now pay your rent, none of your arrears, just your rent, he probably wouldn't evict you. Because if he evicts you, A, he'll never get the money that's owed in arrears. You're never going to pay him that. And B, the house will then stand empty for a while whilst he finds a tenant. And of course that's more loss. So if you were to start paying your full rent now, then he almost certainly wouldn't evict you, because it's not in his interest to do so. Can't guarantee that. That's the kind of thing the CAB will advise you on.
OK, then.
All right, mate.
Thanks very much.
Good luck with it. The very best.
Right.
0161 228 2255. It's an opportune moment to talk about things like that. If you do, and you know, it happens to the best of us at any given moment. It could happen to any of us. You can be taken ill. You can have all sorts of other things happening. The thing to do is to look at that which you have to pay to keep body and soul together and pay that. The rest of it, well, negotiate. And things like credit card bills and all that, they are the least of your worries. They won't go away, but they're the least of your worries. Simon in Hayward says, a TV licence inquiry agent informed me that a television licence is required if you own a television, a video or other equipment capable of receiving a television signal, even if it's not used. Therefore, if I no longer wish to purchase a licence, I must dispose of all such equipment. Soon, however, all my existing equipment will cease to work with the existing analogue system. If I do not upgrade, will I still have to purchase a licence? And I would get a refund from the date. And would I get a refund from the date of switchover? Well, on the day they turn off the analogue system, if the only process you have of receiving is purely analogue, then I would argue that you won't need a licence for it. But then you won't be able to watch the telly with it either. So that would be that. The switch off is quite a way off yet, so I shouldn't work towards that date if I were you. But yes, if you are not able, you pay. The licence fee is for the ability to catch the programmes out of the sky. That's it, really. That's what the licence is. It's the easiest way of defining it. Now, a video can catch the programmes out of the sky or off a wire. So also can a television, so also can one or two other pieces of equipment, a DVD record. I mean, a DVD play only, I don't think so, I'm not sure. But even if that facility is in the equipment, but yours isn't set up to use it, doesn't matter. If you've got the equipment to receive and translate the signals, you need the licence. So, de facto, you might say, if the signal changes so that your equipment can no longer receive it, then you won't need a licence. But then you won't be watching the telly. So it's that simple, I guess. I intend supporting the Russian team playing Glasgow Rangers in Manchester. If you've ever been in Scotland when England are playing any other country in the world, the Scots will be cheering whatever team is playing against England. So there. According to Answers.com, FreeSat comes from Astra 2. Yeah, but I think Sky does as well, doesn't it? Yeah. You are correct in saying, I don't know. You are equally correct in interpreting that as, and I don't care either. Alan, I think it's great that the city is opened up to the football lunatics that turned up, smashed out their minds and completely out of control. If I remember the last time a gathering got together near Exchange Square, a couple of people kicked off and we all suffered. Am I being pessimistic, or do I see another ban coming along? And what are the council going to do when they all turn up with 8 bottles of Bells? Take it away from them? I wish them luck. Perhaps Pat Carney will do it for us. Just to reiterate, the Exchange Square screen won't be showing the football. They'll be showing something else. I don't know, ballet or something. There's not a lot of fighting at ballet, is there? Unless it's the Scottish ballet, then obviously there's fighting, but generally. So they'll be showing ballet or something else that no one gives a toss about. But not the football. Oh, nobody gives a toss about the ballet. Come on, don't look at me like that. All them frocks and men with the willies stacked up. Oh, God, it's scary. It's like watching cucumber wrestling. Anyway, they're not putting it on there, but they will be erecting screens about the place where crowds can gather and presumably jeer or cheer according to their options. Well, that's life, isn't it? That's how it works. It's how the world goes. Dear God, you'll be thinking we're here to entertain you. Why are we stuck with it anyway? How did we go? Well, you see, I've got mixed feelings, because I like welcoming people to our place. We like it round here. Even the Scots. Even when Glasgow, and they do it every year, don't they? When Glasgow Celtic comes down here to play Manchester United, there's an awful lot of people wearing green about the place. But I think the atmosphere's pretty good. So I don't know what they're all worried about. There's nothing to worry about. It'll go off a cinch. There we go. If it doesn't, we can give them all ASBOs. That solves everything. I mention that because I've just got the figures in. 49% of ASBOs were breached between 2000 and 2006. Between 2000 and 2005, it was 47. Do the arithmetic. You may be able to work out from that how many were breached in 2006, but it's too hard for me. Yeah. And yet, 2006 and 10 to 17-year-olds, 61% of those are breached. And adults, which I presume to be people over 17, 43% of them are breached. So they're really working, aren't they? And we hear in the news today that the family of the barrister that did that shooting in London, the family from Macclesfield, is said to be absolutely devastated. And I bet they are. I bet they are. But I bet they're nowhere near as devastated as the parents of the kids whose bedroom window he shot out. That must have concentrated their mind a bit, mustn't it? But what a terrible, terrible story. See you tomorrow. Ta-ra!
Looking after the money in your pockets.
And talking about the businesses